I'm sitting at my desk thinking of an idea for a series I want to do, and I come up with this great idea. I want to play every horror game ever made from the beginning to the end. Now, on paper, this sounded like an awesome idea, and I was really excited to get it started until I did some research and found that the first horror game ever made is going to be Haunted House 1972. Now, when I tell you that this game is literally just a purple picture with some gameplay and it looks super uninteresting, it kind of made me not want to play horror games ever again. But I'm going to push through and look at maybe the second oldest horror game ever made. Now, the second horror game that I found was Hunt the Wumpus, which is 1973, and holy cow, I fell asleep watching some of this gameplay. I really just, the guy walking around and just on some circles, it's really boring looking, and I thought, wow, I can't waste my time on this. So I kept doing some research and I found one about 10 years later called 3D Monster Maze. Now, this game might be just as bad as the other two, honestly. This was so bad and so boring looking, it might even be scarier to walk outside your house in the 1980s with serial killers on the rise. So if I'm being honest, I don't think it's something I want to touch. 1989, we have Sweet Home. Now, this game actually looked pretty bad too. It honestly looked like Pokemon, if Pokemon was a horror game, and it's just, this isn't scary. You know, I can't imagine sitting down in my living room playing this game, shaking and shivering and thinking, wow, I'm so scared to play this. Oh no. Let's fast forward. Alone in the Dark. Now, this one was quite interesting because it seemed like one of the first horror games that might actually have horror elements to it, where it's 3D and it's got some good audio and good music. And I was watching a little bit of the gameplay and him walking around, he kind of like he stomps around the mansion. It's kind of crazy. For a game called Alone in the Dark, it really doesn't look very scary. Everything's too pixelated and doesn't look like it'd be a very enjoyable experience, except for people who have that nostalgia itch they want to scratch. A little further down, 1996, Resident Evil 1. Now, this game doesn't look like it's a bad game, but doesn't look like it's a scary game. I'm a big fan of Resident Evil 4, so when I saw this, it kind of reminded me of that, but overall doesn't look very enjoyable to play, or very scary at all, so I don't think I'll be touching that. Now, this is where the real horror games come in. Silent Hill 1. Now, this one came out in 1999, and if I'm being honest, doesn't look that scary. I do think that at the time when this came out, it was probably pretty scary, because just looking at it, the graphics are outdated now and it's too pixelated, but I feel like the atmosphere and the sound it probably gave you in your living room when you were playing on, I think it was like PS1, maybe PS2, but it probably gave you a little bit of a jump. But nowadays, I don't think it holds up. Now let's jump a little bit further to 2001. There's Silent Hill 2, which looked way scarier than any of the rest of these games. It's night and day with how this looks compared to the other ones. However, still just, it's a PS2 game, looks a little bit outdated, not really something I want to waste too much time on looking back. If I want to get to all the great horror games, I'm going to have to really start fresh. And then I found it, the perfect game, the place where my journey begins. Amnesia: The Dark Descent. This game is gorgeous, it's modern, it's updated, it looks amazing. So after all my soul searching, I think I found out where I want to start. My plan is for this series is to play these games and make a tier list of how enjoyable they are and how scary they are. And I would love some suggestions on some of the best games down below for me to play on the channel. So I hope you stick around, make sure to stay tuned, and I'll see you on the series.